A full hour after the Barracks' first finals night game was scheduled to start, Nick Holt finally popped a switch heel against Chris Cole to start off the 13th season's pending conclusion. There really wasn't anything too exciting about this game. In fact, Chris Cole reminded us that hard flips are not his cup of tea, with 60% of his letters coming from hard flip variations, and ultimately he got skunked. The painfully detached commentary from Mike Moe about Chris Cole getting skunked was funny, considering Mike Moe did just that in Season 6, Round 3 in 33 turns.
Wept Chris Cole.
That's crazy.
No,
that's crazy.
I mean, honestly, has that ever happened?
What, sweeping Chris Cole?
I don't think...
I've done it many times.
Besides you, has that ever happened? Like,
I don't know.
Dude, I don't think anyone's ever done that, even like when he was 14 years old just learning how to skate. You know what I mean? Like, no one's done that.
Speaking of the commentary, if you exclude the 30-plus minute countdown to the finals night event going live, commentary from Mike Moe, Chris Roberts, Steve Barra, and Eric Costin took up more than 20% of the entire event. Even more than the commentary taking up the event were promotional videos for Cariuma and the Barracks, with 24.4% of the total 2-hour-plus schedule eaten up by ads, and in some cases they were featured multiple times. Technically speaking, the actual live games thankfully took up the highest single percentage of airtime at just under 25%, but considering more than 70% of the night was lengthy ads and rule reading, including a 14-minute Cariuma Chicago trip edit, 8-minute recycled Staples Center YouTube video with Jeff Rowley, and nearly a 7-minute Pharrell monologue about skating being important to his career, even though no footage of him on a board was to be found, that 25% of live competitive flat ground seems much smaller. On paper, Chris Cole was not expected to win in his game against Nick, and their game was statistically the closest pregame ELO matchup of finals night. Just as a quick refresher, the ELO rating system is a method for calculating the relative skill of skaters in a zero-sum game like a round of skate, and it's popularly used in chess. It is named after its creator, Arpid Elo. You could argue that ELO in a nutshell is a mathematical way of saying, quote-unquote, you're only as good as your last performance. For the Battle of the Barracks ELO, the 4 finals night skaters have varying ranges of ELO scores, with Cole being the lowest heading into finals at 1216, 215 points lower than Nick's 1431. The reason Nick's ELO is higher than Cole's, even before their battle, is because of 3 main factors that all skaters are measured against, which are the margin of victory, match difficulty, and match length. Over the course of tweaking this particular ELO system, I've made the most changes to how match difficulty affects your score. In the earlier stages, I measured match difficulty based on trick success rates from both offense and defense, but later this season, the match difficulty criteria is based only on tricks that give a letter, because defending hard tricks is one of the most difficult challenges in competitive flat ground. 14 minutes of ads and commentary after Nick and Chris's game, the highlight of finals night, and arguably the whole season, maybe one of the better moments of the tournament's history overall, was the Season 12 championship rematch between Tyler and Jamie in Season 13. Unlike last year, Tyler won the Rochambeau this time, and subsequently executed what appeared to be a deliberately handpicked set of tricks, beginning with a 65.28% defensively successful nollie frontside kickflip, the first time a battle has ever opened with that maneuver. Tyler's pair of cab flip variations proved too easy for Jamie. He fended off the 46% cab flip and 38% cab big flip without much drama. Tyler's 74.5 fakie frontside kickflip would end up being the easiest trick to defend that Peterson would set, which deceivingly preceded a 41.6% switch double flip dagger that Jamie couldn't adequately flick, resulting in Griffin's first and ultimately easiest letter of this game. Ironically, Jamie was able to fend off a relatively much harder 12% switch double heel on the next turn, making him the 4th unique skater to defend it after Shane, Luan, and Jocelyn. Much to Costin's delight, Tyler landed the night's first and only NBD, a pressure kickflip body varial, stumping Jamie for a second letter, but not without a surprisingly close attempt. Jamie slowly, but easily, defends a 57% switch backside kickflip before Tyler returns to the double flip daggers, this time in the form of a 41% nollie double heel, and swiftly gives Griffin letter A after a rocketed miss. Similar to the switch double heel after the switch double flip, Jamie doesn't allow Tyler to give him back-to-back letters, confidently stomping a nollie double flip with relaxed concentration. What happens next is where all the pent-up internet anger aimed at Tyler and Kariuma since Season 12, along with Barra, reached a climax because Peterson timidly tic-tacs away from an offensive switch tray revert, a trick historically championed by Luan in this tournament, but in this case not convincingly executed by the Barracks wunderkind. The crowd audibly was not happy with Tyler's slow rollaway and tic-tac riddled attempt, and Jamie looked to Barra for a decision before attempting, while Peterson conveniently kept his eyes locked on the floor, with Steve claiming the trick was fine. Jamie wasn't able to roll away from the 21% defensively successful trick, putting him in a dangerous situation of getting letter T, while his villainous opponent remains letterless. At this point, if Tyler lands a trick hard enough to give Jamie one more letter, he will skunk Griffin, avenging his loss from 1 season ago, and have favorable ELO odds against Nick Holt in the championship. And up until the last possible opportunity for a trick to go wrong, Peterson's nollie frontside inward heel, the same trick that ended Seva in last season's finals, appeared to be the final move that would prevent Jamie from tying PJ as the only other back-to-back champ. Either nerves, a miscalculation, instant karma from Barra's biased leniency, or a bit of each came together and physically spit Tyler off his blank deck, resulting in one of the gnarlier bails the Barracks tournament has seen, giving control back to Ireland's best flat ground skater. Peterson's bail was so unexpected. Tyler himself wasn't even initially aware of what direction his board shot out. And while he runs to grab it, the crowd is going nuts, and Griffin sets a comparatively quicker pace of play, but with the easiest defensive trick of the game via a 96% kickflip. The excitement from Jamie surviving Tyler's ruthless, dense onslaught of double flips and low percentage tricks, followed by the dramatic deathblow miss, was unavoidable, even though the next sequence of fundamental tricks didn't do much damage to Peterson. Tyler's frontside 360 shove-it on defense had blatant toe drag, but it happened so quickly in real time, and he was able to roll away, so no redo was called, even though some redemption could have been realized on both Peterson and Barra's behalf if Steve made Tyler clean it up on another try. Basically the same thing happened on the bigger spin, 1 turn later, but Tyler finally took the initiative to influence Barra for a defensive redo, and sure enough, the redo on the 14% defensively successful trick was a miss, giving Tyler his first letter. The fakey varial toe drag looked like a redo would have been another acceptable call, but Barra and Tyler acted like nothing happened, before karma came right back a-knockin', thanks to Jamie's 38% big heel that gave Peterson K. Right after the big heel, Tyler got really unlucky with the game's easiest letter, a 67% switch frontside kickflip, before perhaps the single most exciting moment of the entire night took place. Jamie's 33% double hard flip on offense appeared to be the beginning of a familiar Swift Griffin beatdown. But Tyler's defensive response was flawless, rolling away like all he did was an ollie and not some type of complicated, scary flip trick. In that moment, Tyler's undisputable talent was adored by everyone in the building, and maybe even up to 50% of the people watching on the live stream. It's funny how all it takes is one perfectly successful defensive attempt late in a game of skate on a hard trick to help so much in changing the way you're perceived by the skate community. Because even if just for a few moments, all the Kariuma conspiracy buzz backlash about Tyler washed away when he stomped the shit out of that double hard. The 23% 540 shove-it 1 turn later was the hardest trick Tyler defended against Jamie, and in the replay his feet don't appear to touch the ground. Griffin's 0% varial double heel was a grim reminder to all in attendance that any hopes of Peterson making a comeback were going to be slim to none. Once Jamie stomped the second 0% trick, the impossible underflip, aka Mike Mo flip, in front of Mike Mo, everyone knew Peterson was about to battle Cole for 3rd place. One thing I personally appreciate about Jamie is his humility. Everyone's cheering at this point, some for Tyler to stay alive in the game, more for Jamie to progress to the championship, but the Irishman's stoic downward gaze, standing tall and stationary on his board, as he encourages Peterson to go and land that trick, to keep the hype going with a great back and forth game, is the essence of what makes competitive flat ground so relatable and fun to watch. And for such a young bloke from across the pond to have that much of an understanding of good sportsmanship is a win for everyone. Peterson misses the out of the Mike Mo flip, giving Jamie his 10th win to tie PJ for most consecutive victories. Jamie and Tyler's match was the most difficult game of the season in terms of defense, with the average defensive consistency of the letters delivered being under 25%, ranking that game the 7th overall hardest in the tournament's history. And Griffin now has 6 wins in the 10 hardest battle list, excluding third-place battles and unsanctioned matches, of course. Aside from Jamie's comeback and Tyler's defensive performance in their Season 13 finals game, the third-place battle between Cole and Peterson was the second best highlight of the evening, specifically when Chris Cole varial heeled with a mini Skate Mafia board over Peterson's complete, as well as just seeing Tyler have some fun on a skateboard. Apart from that, Cole and Peterson's third-place battle might have been able to be abbreviated because Barra was having to make an effort to get the now exhausted crowd engaged with a goof-off match, and to make matters worse, 20 more minutes would have to pass from the end of the third-place battle to the beginning of the championship game. The Nick Holt versus Jamie Goliath championship match ended up being the second shortest ever at 35 turns, second only to the 25-turn Seva versus Shane championship in Season 8. In terms of letter difficulty, the game ranks 9th out of 13 at 44.5%, only beating out the first 4 seasons, which variously rank 10th through 13th, and is a significantly low ranking when you consider the level of flat ground progression that's taken place since Season 4. The game started off okay, but once Nick missed the frontside big spin, the wheels just fell off hard. Holt was taking massive amounts of time to attempt each trick, which I'd imagine would only worsen the nerves, because in the lead up to an attempt in this type of environment, you can hear a flea fart in an unventilated warehouse with a couple thousand people huddled around you, laser focused on every move you make. The impossible didn't work out for Holt, giving him letter K. Then he attempted an inward heel flip instead of a pressure flip on defense, further signifying his lack of attentiveness. But he got a second attempt and landed the pressure flip. Then he had to tie his shoes before the front 3 shove. Missed that and got letter A. Holt was able to stay competitive for 2 turns after that when he landed the heel flip body varial and bigger spin, but Jamie's impossible underflip and double hard flip back-to-back were just too much for Nick. There might be a little bit of room to argue a redo on Nick's last try double hard, but Brian Arnett and his goon squad stormed the floor before Barracks could make a decision, and by then, it was just like, meh, let's be done with this. So Jamie has 11 consecutive game wins, making him the leader above PJ, and his ELO is a godlike 1843, making Griffin virtually unbeatable until a new face comes along and figures out a way to dismantle him. It's been said before, but if the bracket was prepared in a way that takes into account skill level, there might have been an opportunity for the tournament to culminate to a true Peterson versus Griffin rematch for the championship, instead of a lopsided mismatch with Holt, who Peterson could have also likely beat. Basically, if Tyler was put in the bottom left corner of the bracket, we might have been able to have a finals night with Jamie versus Jocelyn, which would have been way better than Cole versus Holt, and definitely better than Holt versus Jamie. That being said, I recognize that seeing Tyler loosen up a little bit in the third place battle and getting the chance to see a legend like Chris Cole goof around isn't the absolute worst outcome. Attending the event in person is an exciting experience when the games are going, and some of the best aspects of the night were 1, the Barracks hiring a security team ensuring everyone's safety, and 2, the free unlimited water that was available. The accumulated 90 minutes of promo videos, recycled YouTube videos being shown, and rule reading, not to mention the inaudible commentary, was a major letdown, and overall reminder why the Barracks catch flack online. $100 ticket prices to watch 30 minutes of flat ground in person signifies the Barracks doesn't want a large in-house audience in attendance at finals night. It was ambiguously announced that the Barracks are going to relocate, so future tournament seasons won't be taking place in the warehouse we've been familiar with since Season 6. How long we wait until Season 14 and where that future season will occur remains a mystery, And while Season 13 might have had an objectively lackluster championship game, Season 12 was so much worse.